that's your credit cards. That's the debt that you want to pay off to help your credit score. That's the debt you want to start to pay off to do so. It's a different kind of debt. So revolving versus installment, it's a totally different kind of debt. And it'll save you more money in terms of interest anyway, because the interest rates typically on your credit card are much more than what your student loan is typically, as well as your car note typically. All right. So you want to get rid of those credit cards if you can, because it's going to save you money because of that. And it's going to be good for your score to get your credit utilization down. Why? Because one of the 5 pillars of credit deals with that credit utilization. It's 30% of what your score is, right? Since it's 30% of what your score is, that's where you want to concentrate that extra money that you have. You got your taxes back, you got a bonus at work, whatever it is, that's where you want to concentrate. That's where you want to concentrate that portion at, okay? Make sure that you do that. Talking about a plan, right? We're talking about a strategy, right? You want to make the right strategy for you. So while you're looking at your finances and you're finding, I got an extra $150, whatever it is, you want to throw that at a credit card. You want to get that done. You want to use a strategy even within that. Look up Snowball. Look up Avalanche. I've done shows on both of those particular strategies to pay down some of your credit card debt. And then there's a debt strategy called stacking as well that deals with all of your debt, not just credit card debt, but anything else, your car loan or whatever else you might have as well, called stacking. Listen to that as well, so you'll see how you can get out of debt. Because sometimes we look at it and we like, there's no way I'm ever going to get out of debt, but it is possible with the plan and with the strategy. It's absolutely possible. It might take you longer than some other people. It may be shorter for you, but it's absolutely possible. Now, closing your installment loans by paying them off is not helpful. It's not helpful. So when you have an installment loan, like I said, we're talking student loans and cars, once you pay it off, it's not helpful for your credit score. People think it is, but it's not helpful for your credit score. It's actually going to hurt your credit score because it's closed. Will it stay on your credit report? Absolutely. It's going to stay on your credit report. If it's a good account, it's going to stay on there 10 years. If it was a bad account, it's going to stay on there 7 years. So it's going to stay on there, and it's going to be helpful for a little while. It'll be helpful, but almost immediately, it's going to hurt your credit score a little bit when you pay off that car, you pay off that student loan, or anything that's a personal loan that is an installment. It's going to hurt your credit score a little bit. Can you afford to have 10, 20, 30 points knocked off your credit report? I don't know. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I guess it depends on where you sit on that scale that we talked about at the top of the show. So make sure you know how that's going to work and how it's going to impact your credit score. Those student loans, typically, you've had them for a long time. That's helping, one, with your payment history, of course, but then it's also helping with your length of history. So your length of history, the longer it is, the better it is for your credit score and your credit report. It is 15% of your credit score. That is part of the 5 pillars, or one of the 5 pillars of credit. So you want to make sure that you're dealing with all of these things when it comes to your credit score. Now, if you don't have a credit card, you need to add a credit card. You need to add a credit card if you don't have a credit card. You might take a hit initially. Not even might. You will take a hit initially because you've got to apply for the card and all that kind of stuff. But you need a credit card for sure. The benefits of getting a credit card outweigh the initial negative. So in the long run, in the long term, because now they'll have something for to look at your credit utilization, which is 30% of your credit score. They'll have something to judge you by, to see about your credit worthiness on that, and it's going to help your mix. All of those things outweigh the negative of you having an inquiry on your credit report when it comes to getting a credit card. You absolutely need to do that. So look, I'm going to do this question of the day, and I'm doing this at the end of the show because I wanted to save it for right here. So this question of the day actually came from, I'm going to use the last name, Ocampo, from California, LA specifically, actually. Ocampo sent me email. Yeah, it was an email. Send me an email talking about authorized users, and the question really is, this is what was said. You mentioned the authorized user. hack, and I would like to know if it will affect the primary user's credit score if they agree to add me as an authorized user. Great question. Great question. I get this question all of the time, and that's what the primary account holders. So when he says primary account holder, he's talking about the person that actually has the card, and they're going to allow you to become an authorized user. And I'm mentioning this now because when I said get you a credit card, this is one way to get your credit card without getting your quote unquote own credit card. This is to become an authorized user. So yes, the person that actually holds the card and allows you to piggyback off of their card, does it impact credit their credit score at all? And absolutely not. Not one iota does it hurt them at all. And some credit cards will even have a limit or whatever. So they'll say, okay, I'm not going to pick out any names, but you can only have, say, 3 authorized users on this card. Some cards will let you have up to 10 authorized users on your card. So you got a card out for each one of your kids. You got one for your spouse. You got one for grandma. You got one for the nephew that you like or whatever. Some cards will allow you to have up to 10 or maybe even more authorized users on a particular card. That does not hurt them at all. The only place that you can actually get hurt if you're the primary person is if you give that card to somebody and they go run up the balance on it and then they refuse to pay. Both things actually hurt you. So if they go run up the balance, sure, it's going to increase your credit utilization. So that's not helpful, right? And then, of course, if they don't pay their portion or you can't pay the bill because it's too high for you or whatever, and you miss a payment, then absolutely that's going to hurt your credit score. But other than that, there's no risk at all to you by adding someone as a authorized user on your credit report. And what I always suggest is don't give them the card. If you're doing this just to help them with their credit score, they don't need a card. They absolutely don't need a card. Now, if you're doing it because you want them to have access to a particular card, cool, no problem at all. If that's the person that you want to do that with. But you don't need to let them actually have the physical card themselves. Yes, they'll get a card in their own name and all that stuff, but you don't need to let them actually physically hold on to the card if you're not comfortable with that. So as the primary user, you make that decision. You let them know up front, hey, I'm not giving you this card. And then somehow they end up using the card or whatever, they got to pay it all back, and not in $20 a month like the minimum bill is. No, you need to pay it all back within a month. You need to pay it all back in 2 months or whatever it is. You make that specific thing. But to answer your question, no, it will not hurt the primary user or the primary card holder for that. So that's what I wanted to tell you. So, Campo, thank you so very much for contacting me. Got an email at 800@creditscoreman.com. That's where you can email me too. You are officially a part of the 800 Credit Score Man Show family. All right, y'all. So that's what I got for today. That's the end of the show. It's a long show. Man, it's a long show. And when I was looking at those notes, I didn't think it was going to be this long. But that's what I got for you today. Your credit score plan for your credit score increase. So come back next week. Let's see what we're going to talk about. Send me some emails. Give me some show topics, what you want to talk about. You got questions? Send me your questions so we can get them answered for you here on the 800 Credit Score Man Show. Now, end of the show. I said at the end of the show I was going to talk a little bit about and take some personal privilege and talk about Cameron. So Cameron turned 10 this week. He turned 10 on the 7th of October, and I just want to say, man, I love you so much. I am proud of the young man that you are growing up to be. To brag on Cameron a little bit, you're talking about a kid that all A's and B's, all high honor roll, regular honor roll, all the time. He's in the 5th grade at this point, and I just love him to death. So I want to make sure that I let the world know how I feel about you, and to brag on him a little bit. So talking about a student athlete, like I said, he's only in the 5th grade, but a true student athlete. So he's got great grades, of course. He plays 3 sports, whether it's soccer, basketball, or baseball. He plays 3 sports. In this little time, and like I said, he's only in the 5th grade. In this little time, some of his accolades has been Cameron would always score in soccer. Always score. He's always been really quick, good with his feet. He would always score in soccer. This one particular season, and this was probably a couple of years ago, one particular season, he was scoring 2-3 goals a game. He was doing that. One game, he got blanked. He had no goals in one game. And so it must have motivated him because he took it out on the next team the next Saturday, and the boy scored 8 goals in one game. In one game. That's my soccer dude right there. So that's my soccer dude. Then, if you talk about basketball, the boy always got the rock in his hand. His highest scoring game has been 26 points. I think he was in the 3rd grade at this point. So in 3rd grade, the boy scored 26 points. He's hit buzzer beaters. He's hit half court shots. He is a good athlete when it comes to basketball as well. And he's smart on the court. Now, he don't play any defense. He plays basketball like James Harden. Right? He does a lot of shooting, but he don't play no defense. So we working on that. And then when it comes to baseball, so far in baseball, he's had the pleasure of having an undefeated season. I was the coach. I coach him in basketball and baseball. He had the pleasure of an undefeated season. And one season, the boy batted 1,000. I'm not talking about he had walks and all that stuff. No, he got a hit every time up for an entire season. So he's got good hand-eye coordination like his daddy too. So, son, I love you to death, man. And I can't wait to see what the rest of your life is going to be like. So that's what I wanted to say about Cameron. Take my personal privilege at the end of the show. So the people that don't like that stuff, y'all could have just logged off. So thank you guys for coming in, listening to the 800 Credit Score Man show. Come back next week. And see what we have for you so we can help you increase your credit scores. Now, so since we talked about Cameron, this is his birthday, we're going to let him do the outro for us today. All right, see y'all next week.
The 800 Credit Score Man will be back next week.